love Mom so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, The Highguy's Joints of View. My name is Chris, the Highguy Jacobs, and today joining me is yet again the one and only, beautiful and voluptuous? That's weird. That's a weird thing for me to say. Beautiful and energetic. That's what we'll say. She's quite energetic. The one and only, Kayla, the missus. Hello, Kayla. How you doing? Thank you very much for sitting in with us.
You sound like you're stumbling a little bit today.
Well, it is a little bit later than normal, but that's also why we're hitting up the indica in our session this evening. And for those of you who want to know, hold on. It's a strain called OS1 Triangle Mints. It's an indica with, what is it running at? About 2.1% terpenes. And about 26.8% THC.
Yeah, when I went to the shop to pick it up the first time we had it, the girl was talking about all that terpenes and shit, and I just was like completely clueless, and I was just like, I'm just gonna buy it because you're cute. I literally have no idea what you just said to me, but I'm gonna buy it because you're cute.
Yep, and that unfortunately becomes the narrative at a lot of places. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind buying from hot, attractive women. But when you get the not so hot, not as attractive gentleman, you need to have the information on the backside. You see what I'm saying?
Well, she knew her stuff and explained and showed me a bunch of different stuff, but I think at that point I was just so like, I don't care anymore, just give me whatever.
Yeah, at that point. The problem is it can end up being so much. Like, cannabis by its own right has so much unknown around it, and like that's what it, that's effectively what all the research and effectively what all the studies and all that kind of stuff have to come out and say, because unfortunately, we've been using cannabis now as a society for millennia. Like, let's be honest, for a long time. And it's only now that we're actually starting to do some research on it. Just for you guys who didn't know, this is Zeus. Hi, Zeus. I'd say hello, but you don't speak. You're pretty quiet.
Well, unless I'm putting my shoes on.
Or he's going in an area where he likes to be. He's a border collie, and he's amazing. He's my good little boy. Likes his scritches. But you might see him in the background.
He's a working dog, so...
Now, before we jump into today's topic, I do want to mention that there are obviously a couple places to get this podcast. You can either get it on Spotify, you can get it on Apple Podcast, any of the major places that podcasts are available.
Okay,
but
you are not the center of attention, mister.
Yeah, I told you, he just wants to have everyone's attention. But if you prefer to see this in a video form, we do post it up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, at the Highguy 420. So if you want to check us out here in a video form, you can also do that there. And it posts on the YouTube, typically about 5 days later. So if you can get it on your podcasting platforms, and then you can obviously catch it on YouTube.
They don't need to see right up and personal into my face.
That's your fault for sitting that far forward.
I couldn't because he literally pushed me here. Can you get him down, please?
Okay, off, buddy. Good boy.
Ugh. There we go. I love him.
He's very demanding, but he works hard, so I don't mind it.
No.
And he's cute, so I can't complain.
This is so cute.
It was actually kind of funny. We traded goats for him, right?
We traded a goat and 2 rabbits.
Yeah, we used to raise rabbits too.
Was it 4? It was a few rabbits.
Just for those who don't know, we live on a farm. We raise goats. And we used to raise rabbits, and we raise chickens now too. And so obviously we have, dogs plethora. I think we've got 5 or 6 of them totally running around the yard. And so obviously
outside, and then
Zeus inside. Yeah, so we've got 5 dogs running around the yard. Animals are a big part of our life, but we picked up Zeus on an animal trade. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Hey, I will, if it came to an animal and you want to barter with me, come on down. I will any day of the week.
I've got extra goats and I need a dog. Trade me.
Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, hey, you want to trade a buck for some does? I'm all down for it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be open to the business wherever it comes to.
And everything costs too much money nowadays
Oh,
anyways.
Don't even get me started. Which is actually a good segue into our topic. We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the health benefits to cannabis. Just because my wife and I both suffer from some medicinal issues that we need to... Oh, do you need this thing? Do you need that thing? Yeah. I'll pass her the ashtray. We both suffer from some physical issues, some mental health issues. And obviously, we both benefit greatly from cannabis as, access to cannabis. We both originally had, previous to legalization, had our...
grow license.
Yeah, the ACMPR license, the MMPR, so we had the access to cannabis, and then we had the MMPR, which was your ability to grow cannabis.
Yeah.
And there was at one point we were able to grow 39 plants between the two of us. So we've been...
Did we have the space to? No.
No, we never got that big, but we did have a nice little under the stairs grow that definitely we stumbled through, and it was definitely a nice harvest by the end of it for something that we ended up putting in. So it was kind of nice to have that experience. But obviously that wouldn't happen if we weren't in a place. I was talking to someone the other day where it's so illegal, like, just to be able to have a little bit. Like, you can get nailed for, like, joints, you can get nailed for res, you can get nailed for a roach, and that's, like, bad time.
Yeah, no thanks.
Not just like what we have here, thank God. But so anyways, talking about some of the health benefits, and obviously that health, risks that a lot of it comes with as well. Kayla, why don't you start off a little bit telling us a little bit about some of the things that you face on the daily basis?
What do you mean?
Well, in regards to your health, some of your health issues that you face on a daily basis.
Physical or mental?
Well, it's a long conversation no matter how we look at it one way or the other. So let's just pick an avenue and go from there. Let's talk about physical, because that's what a lot of people will going to use it for.
That's what I use. Well, I guess it's not just physical. I use it mostly for. But, yeah, physical, I like use the topicals and everything, because I have a connective tissue disorder.
Oh, yeah. What's that called?
It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and basically all my joints, all the connective tissues in my body don't hold together properly. So I have dislocated every finger in my right hand several times because my body just bends instead of breaking.
Well, it basically just means that everything stretches a lot. So one of the telltale signs, obviously, is hyperflexibility, hypermobility, things like that. And then, obviously, something I learned about it is that it causes circulation issues. So, for example, people with Ehlers-Danlos, typically, if they sit for a long time, will end up with heart issues.
That's
necessarily.
That's why you see me shift all the time.
Yeah, so like if they sit down for too long, basically their veins in their feet can just kind of stretch as far as they need to. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no real kind of pressure to keep them back in.
Pooling.
Yeah, so they end up pooling in your legs, and you'll end up, they can end up fainting when they stand up, getting dizzy when they stand up, things like that, right?
Well, that's my orthostatic tachycardia. That's not all just my...
No, but POTS is also one of those things that can lead to that type of issue.
I don't have POTS.
Not POTS, sorry, Ehlers-Danlos.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ehlers-Danlos can lead to that same type of effect.
Yeah, because your veins just stretch and stretch and stretch. And then when you have what I have, where I don't even have enough blood pressure to circulate what little blood I have in my body.
It's actually kind of scary, I'll be honest. I watch her heart monitor, and sometimes her heart goes down to like 38 beats a minute, and then up to like 160 beats a minute. And she's in tachycardia, according to her watch, like 15% of the time. Now, for AFib, sorry.
But
she's in AFib 18% of the time.
With all my joint pains and everything,
yep,
because of that, I use more topicals
for that,
and I like a more indica-based flower concentrate,
right?
Just because the pain sometimes is just too much.
And that's one thing I want to touch base on, because I know a lot of people who deal with chronic pain, deal with chronic inflammation. They deal with a lot of those types of, kind of conditions. And don't get me wrong, this is no kind of, let's add this a massive precursor. There's no kind of medical advice that I'm giving you by any stretch. Obviously listen to your doctor and follow your doctor and do what they say, right?
Don't listen to us.
Right.
We're just some stoners in a room in the corner having a podcast talking about life.
Sure. And
don't take medical advice from us.
Don't take medical advice, right? Don't tell your doctor to screw off in order to do your own thing. Obviously follow their advice, but it's also one of those things where I always suggest to people, if you haven't already looked into the plethora of options that cannabis allows in topicals, edibles, other strains, concentrates, bath bombs, beverages. They've got drinks so that if you don't like to smoke or if you don't like to, inhale and things like that, you've got drinks, they've got edibles, they've got gummies. There's a plethora of ways. And
I started introducing gummies into my pain regimen and stuff.
I remember because we started to get gummies that were specific to cannabis.
Gummies.
Yeah. Though it's a brand called Wild. Now they're not a sponsor, but they're probably one of the best gummies in the game. I think. Arguably,
I love them.
They're some of the best tasting ones. They've got great mouthfeel, good texture, good flavor, and the effects are pretty good. Granted, they're only. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, granted, they're only 10 milligrams in a bag in Canada right now, but they're working on that. But for what you get, like for what they are, they're actually I'm pretty happy with them.
And I can take the 2 gummies in the morning, and I'm good for most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not locked onto the couch because you brought me a whole bunch of different flavors for different times in the day, and you kind of like set up a little regimen for me. It was great. When you were working at the shop there, he's like, I got new gummies for you to try. So you don't have to smoke so much. Let's see if these work. If they don't worry. If they do, great.
This is exactly why I can't wait to get this shop opened so that we can get this stuff processing so that people can come in and start getting the right help that they need.
It was great because he just picked everything out, was like, blah, 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 blah about this, and all I said was...
In one ear, out the other.
Well, no, it was more like, can I take this at this time? Can I take it at this time? Or can I take it at this time? That's really all I needed to know. Or what it did, or what it was great for. But once we started doing that definitely helped a lot with my body pain.
And I think as much as I like to say go ahead and try it, there's a couple of precursors I always have to say. First off, as we've mentioned, you always have to start slow.
And do it with someone who's experienced.
Yeah.
Don't...
I always say, always cut your dose in half, just because obviously it's like seasoning a soup. You can't take the seasoning out once you put the soup in, or the seasoning in. It's very much the same way when it comes to edibles or, pretty much anything. So I always say start slow.
Don't fly too close to the sun like I did on that first episode.
Yeah, 100%. And number 2, realize that there are tons of options. So it can be a little scary. And I think this is one of the things that leads to a lot of that stigma. People don't want to go into these places because there are a ton of different options. How do you know which... Well, exactly. How do you know which indica strain is the one you want? How do you know which sativa strain is the one that you want? How do you know which one is going to get you the effects that you want? Do you want concentrates? Do you want edibles? How do you know?
And everybody just goes off of, this has the highest THC. Because they think everybody's looking for freaking lock in the couch or let's see how much THC we can get. It's like, no. We've had some great indicas that aren't huge, super, super high percentage in THC. But it was more of a level type of strain. And again, great.
This comes down to the big conversation when it comes down to THC versus something like CBD versus, when you're talking about the other cannabinoids. We could talk about those, which we will eventually.
Next episode.
But you also have to understand, a lot of that times when you're having a better trip on something like a balanced one-in-one, which means something that has, an equal amount of THC to CBD.
Yeah.
Typically what you have in those situations is a combined effect. So THC is triggered by having CBD present within it to actually make it a little bit more valuable.
Yeah, we usually used a hybrid for me during the day.
Yeah, the sativas during the day is kind of your focus.
Yeah.
Indicas in the evening. I like sativa heavies.
Yeah.
Sativa heavy hybrids throughout the day as more of an uplifting thing. But even then, if you're looking at the health benefits, THC by itself does have, anti-inflammatory benefits in there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great in topicals because, but also there's many benefits with the CBDs in these topicals and stuff too, because sometimes that pain is deep pain, but at other times, it's literally just my skin and my tendons that are killing. And my skin is so thin that it doesn't take much for like a topical to get to somewhere like that, because everything is just so thin and stretched out. So I'd always massage it in, and it was great.
Well, the good thing there is that you're also getting therapeutic effect, obviously, from the massage aspect of itself.
Yeah.
Bringing blood flow back to the area and things like that. But because of where the receptors are in the body, and I've talked about this a little bit before, the CB1 and CB2 receptors. So the CB2 receptors are found throughout everywhere. A lot of the position is in the skin. So when you're using topicals, THC topicals or the rest, a lot of times you're being able to have that bind, and that's why you're not getting high, but you're being able to have that pain relief that's kind of directed.
Yeah, like I wasn't getting high, but it was great because then I'd go out and I'd do my work in the yard, or kids, whatever it may be, and then it would be a lot more manageable. And I wouldn't have to like smoke or anything like that, because usually I was smoking because I was in pain, but when I used the topical in my joints and stuff, it saved my lungs.
Well, and it's the same way. Like when it comes to edibles, for example, there's a decent amount of the population who are almost immune to edibles. They metabolize the THC and stuff out of the system too quickly to kind of recognize it. Like myself, and I'll be honest, I've had massive doses of edibles with literally no like psychotropic effects, right? And that just means I didn't get high from it. Like you don't get the body high that a lot of people experience, okay? And so there's a lot of people that have that experience. However, there are still benefits from the other cannabinoids that you can use. Sorry as she dies here. Reciprocated.
It's all your fault.
There's bonuses to the CBD. So, for example, when I've had stomach issues, I know that I can't get high from eating THC. But I was having stomach issues, stomach pains, things like that when my digestive system was going through a weird time.
Yeah, it helped.
And eating gummies or eating, we had candy. We had made candied suckers.
Yeah.
Or eating those, for example, would help with stomach pain, help with indigestion. Help with all that kind of stuff. Now, there is a huge proponent that says, what percentage of that is the placebo effect, right? Because the brain is a powerful thing. Duh. However, a lot of the research shows that it's not. I mean, it's really just the combined effect of what this is. Yeah. So before I take my hoot, I want to ask you questions that is going to kind of lead you into your own little segue here. With all of the issues that you have, how do you think cannabis influences your inability to need pharmaceuticals? Because if you were needing, pharmaceuticals to deal with pain and things like that on a consistent basis, how do you think cannabis has influenced that instead of being on pharmaceuticals?
Oh man, I would be on like painkillers. Or I'd probably be, because I have a very addictive personality because of my mental health. I'm bipolar, and so with that comes a lot of addiction issues. And at one point in my life, I had issues with pills. And so even to this day, I'm very limited on what I will take and what I won't take. And like, I don't take anything longer than I need to, because I have this fear that I'm going to get addicted to it. Yeah. But with weed, I don't have that fear that if I go to take an extra hoot because I'm just feeling a little still, I'm not going to go die. Yeah. But if I take another pill because I felt, I could die, or I could take 5 or 6 more.
Or get really sick. Either way.
Get really sick, right? And that's not something I want or need or care to go through. It was not fun, the pill stage anyways, and I was not looking forward to carry it through the rest of my life.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's a massive difference that I find being medicated on cannabis versus medicated on my pharmaceuticals for ADHD.
Yeah.
Now,
same with my mental health meds, but for my pain and stuff, it definitely helps keep me off of asking for pain medicine. Like, I have anti-inflammatories that I take, and some days I take more than others, but the weed prevents me from having to, like, follow up with a bunch of Tylenol or other whatever, opioids and things like that.
Yeah.
Instead,
even a Tylenol, folks, let's not get it twisted. Let's understand something very quickly. Tylenol is not innocent.
Oh, Tylenol can do so much damage to your liver.
We consider
you have no idea.
We consider it harmless. But if you take an extra strength Tylenol every day, you're going to face massive kidney problems and liver problems. So it's not something that it's meant to be taken daily. It's not something that's meant to be...
You want to hear a story? It actually happened to me.
Yeah.
When I was in my teens, I was in so much pain all the time and had headaches all the time. And I was taking so much Tylenol, and I ended up in the hospital for something, and then did my blood work. And they're like, her liver function's gone down to like 70%. Like... what's going on, like what's changed for her.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I was doing was taking all the Tylenol, because like my pain was so bad that there were days that I would take 4 extra strength Tylenols at once, and then in 4 hours I would do the same thing again because the pain was so bad.
Now, just so we can get this clear, that wasn't necessarily because of the Ehlers-Danlos.
The pain?
The pain was a lot of it to do with endometriosis.
Well, and my joints. Absolutely. I've been dealing with joint pains.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, 100%.
So.
But we also know that, like, especially from what I've seen too, the majority of where your pain came from, like a lot of that debilitating, absolutely drop you to your knees pain.
Well, yeah, there's that. But if we're talking about my joints and stuff like that, like even with my endometriosis, I'd still be taking an excessive amount of pain. Everything was in pain.
Yeah.
My whole body was in pain. My head was in pain. My joints, my uterus, all of it.
So you can understand why she was taking a lot of Tylenol.
So I was taking a bunch of prescription drugs and stuff. And this way, because I can take it in different forms now, especially since we've become more aware and familiar with this, you've been able to help me integrate different things. And even knowing that, like, the one time when we had edibles, and I just fucking was like, and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm never doing edibles again. Yeah. When we lived in the basement suite there. Yeah. And I never had them since, right? I was like, it's just not my thing. I'm not going to do it. But when you brought the wild ones home. Yeah. I know they're small. They're only like 5 milligrams, but I'm also not a very big person.
That's right. You're quite small in comparison.
And so for me to take 2 gummies, I was asleep.
Yeah. And
my and like during the day when you gave me the other ones, I was like, hey, I can carry on with my day and I don't feel too bad.
It's, again, coming down to the utilizing the plant the way that it's supposed to be utilized, right? Diving in and making sure that you're utilizing the cannabinoids, utilizing the THC. It's not just about getting high. It's about making sure that you can, effectively take advantage of this, this plant as much as you can. As bad as that sounds, there is so much wealth of knowledge that we need to extract from it.
Yeah, there is. But I think with what really helped us was because when you were at the store, you had the ability to do all the research.
That's true. Right? That's absolutely true.
And most people don't have access to that. Yeah. Let alone going to a shop and getting a knowledgeable bartender to even begin with. Yep. Right? And so I think there needs to be more talked about.
There needs to be more overall education.
When you go in to get it as well.
Overall, I mean, just in general.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to go pick up for the average person.
Yep.
Right? Like, don't just go in and be like, hey, I want to try these. And then they go, oh, this is the highest THC. And you're like, no. You got to make sure you tell them what you want to use it for. And not just let them pick something, like convince you that this is going to be what you want.
when you go into a weed store, if I could give anybody advice, going into a weed store is different than any other scenario that you have.
It really is.
When you go into a pharmacy, for example, the pharmacist is going to give you what the doctor tells him to give you. The pharmacists themselves might know a little bit about it, but their job is to basically just fill your prescriptions. Their job is to basically do what the doctor says to be able to fill that out.
Well, they do. They know stuff.
Sure. I mean, they've gone through the education, so they know what each thing does. They know what the drugs treat and things like that.
And when you open up shops, you should have more education offered.
Well, that becomes my point. My point is when you go into a cannabis shop, there is a big difference. The difference is you're going into a place where most people don't have the near experience to do it, as you would when you go in with a pharmacy. But the truth is, most bud tenders don't have the knowledge that they expect from a pharmacy. So not only does the industry need to massively increase their education. Sorry while she dies. Not only do they have to increase the education throughout the industry, but if you're going into a cannabis store, just go in and... I mean, how do I say it without sounding like a dick? Just be real. Right? Go in and talk to them like a real person.
It went in a little hard.
So, for all of you talking about how she's higher than me, no, she just has shittier lungs than me, okay? That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. She just coughs worse than me. For all you saying that she's higher than me, that's just not the case.
I'm always higher.
Uh-huh. From how short you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look what you made me do!
I didn't make you do nothing!
Look what you made me do!
I didn't
you turned my chair
I made
and
her
knocked...
spill a little bit. It's just a little bit. It's not that bad.
It could have been worse.
It could have been, but it wasn't. Shake your chair! Just kidding. So this is what 14 years of marriage looks like. For those of you that want to know. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I've said, she's my better part. Although she can't stomach her booze. You know?
What?
Although she can't stomach her hoots. You know? It's...
I'm just... My lungs are broken.
As is the rest of me.
And, like, sometimes I have to hold my chest in because my ribs expand too much because of my Ehlers-Danlos. And so sometimes when I cough, I actually have to, like, hold my chest in so that I can cough proper, because if I don't, it's really weird.
Things you learn every day. Things you learn every day. It's been a while since you took a hoot, eh? You see this?
Fuck you.
This is what I deal with.
You love me.
I do. Very much. Very much I do. Which is weird, because I have a recurring dream where she divorces me. It's a really weird dream. I don't know why it happens, but it happens. You know, at least once a month. At least once a month I wake up feeling weird.
That was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
That was your once a month thing.
Yeah, it happens.
A couple days
it
ago.
happens kind of regularly. But I think that's just our own internal psychology. You know what I mean? Like, that's our own internal stuff. Oh, by the way, just for those who are curious, if you do work on a farm, how do you get rid of the flies? Like, I'm just curious, how do you do it?
Cleaned everything.
Because we can't. And we've tried bags, we've tried everything. We've got things sticking up everything. But now that it's cold outside and it's warm inside, all the flies on the animals are coming inside.
The flies and the animals.
The flies on the animals are coming inside.
There's tons of shelters everywhere else they can go and hide.
I know, but the flies don't want to go anywhere cold. They want to go somewhere warm, which is inside of our house.
Fuck them.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so before we go out, I'm just going to crack out this last bowl. And I don't know how the heck we're going to end this yet. I'm just going to say... This
kind of has gone into like a whatever episode, honestly.
No, I mean, it's been pretty focused. It's been pretty focused.
We're total squirrels today. Let's just admit it.
ADHD has taken over.
Segues. And we're never going to stay on topic.
No, but I feel like that's kind of the part of the normal thing. I think what I also want to start incorporating
Stop looking at the ceiling.
I don't know.
Why are you looking at the...
I don't know. I don't know why I'm looking up and I'm not looking at you.
You keep looking up, or you keep, like, staring... Like, is the clock, hypnotizing you or something?
No, this is why I think I'm autistic, okay? This is why I think I'm autistic. I have much more comfort looking at inanimate objects than I do looking at people.
Because every time I kind of look at you and you're like...
I know, I'm looking at spots over there, or I'm looking at this. I'm not looking at you. No. I'm not looking at the camera like I should. I'm doing all of the things you shouldn't do. And this is why I think I'm autistic. Because I'm much more comfortable not looking at people than I am looking them in their faces.
We just have to make sure we don't make eye contact. That's the thing. That's what makes it, like...
Someone's supposed to stare at your nose?
No, like when you look at me. Don't stare at my nose, but you can, like, stare at somewhere else. My bun. My bun would take you out.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do that.
No. Lies. All lies.
Again, just a precursor, guys. Don't take any medical advice from us. We're just a bunch of stoners here talking and shooting the shit. But for those who are curious, just do yourself a favor and look into it. There is a plethora of information available, both on the web and at your doctor's office. And if you talk to any cannabis doctors...
Or unless you live in a small town, then they have a little pamphlet that
basically says don't smoke weed.
Yeah, it says don't smoke weed.
But, I mean,
and I just laughed just in my doctor's office.
You can still find...
And half the town's like stoners.
You can still find help at bud stations or bud shops, kind of, sometimes. But a lot of it is just going to come down to researching it yourself. There's a ton of information out there. Do yourself a favor. Go out there and look at what's available. If you've got issues with inflammation, if you've got issues sleeping, even if you've got issues eating.
Sleeping and eating. I have the hardest time eating. Like, even at work, I get bugged. They're like, do you eat anything besides candy? Well, no, for one. And two, like, I don't have, like, a real appetite to eat. I'm at work. I'm not going to be medicated at work, obviously.
Yep, absolutely.
And so it just, my appetite is suppressed, and I just more snack, and I don't really eat. And then I come home and eat my whole meal.
Not to mention, there are times when we've gone through and it's only after she's hit a big bong bowl that she feels confident enough to eat the portion that she serves for herself. And don't get me wrong, previously I would have said it was a problem, but she was 95 pounds at that point, and now she's much, much healthier. So I'm totally fine. Pack on the pounds. You know what I'm saying?
It only took 14 years to get me from 95 pounds to what I weigh now.
I did promise you I'd get you there, though.
Yeah, you did.
I did promise I would get you there. And I know that a large portion of that ass came from pretzels.
Yeah, and the nerd candies.
Yes, the nerd sours that she eats a ton of.
Nerd sours.
Yeah.
Those are, like, my favorite.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The sour. It has to be the green package. It can't be the...
No, it's got to be like the normal sour nerds, the crunchy, chewy sour nerds.
Do you have the package? No.
Nope. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. But I love them. They're like my favorite. I'm like, I don't have to have the little nerds. I can have a gummy and a nerd and a sour. It's just perfect.
God damn it, woman. You sidetracked me again.
But they're so yummy.
I get it.
You were talking about how it helped me gain weight.
Yes, we were talking. I was trying to do a precursor to say don't listen to us, and then you sidetracked us with us. Listen to us about snack foods.
Yeah, listen to my snack foods. This will help you.
Don't listen to us when it comes to medical advice.
But
do listen to us when it comes to snack advice.
Yes.
Okay.
I am a pastry chef.
I can live by that.
And so I think I know some pretty good treats. If you guys have any treats that you want us to try.
However, like I've mentioned, the fly distracted me. That's what happened there. The fly distracted me. This is ADHD, folks. If you didn't know, there was a fly that landed here. I went to wave it away, and that action wiped my brain clean.
That's like going through the door frame.
Yeah, it is the same exact action. So yep. I have no idea. I don't even know what the heck we were talking about. Well, that's a perfect time to end it, folks.
We were talking about food.
That's a perfect time to end it, folks. Thank you very much. For those who are listening on the podcast services, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to share this with your friends. If you're waiting until the YouTube, don't forget to like the YouTube. You listen, I'm fresh at this, okay? I'm still a noob.
The YouTube.
So if you're waiting for YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Fill out the notification bell and the rest. Check out thcemporium.ca for any of your Highguy or the Mrs. merch. Tune in next week when we talk about Who the Fuck Knows.
Because we're neurospicy.
Sure.
And everything changes.
The other thing is, I'm tired right now and I just haven't thought about it. So we'll have to decide and go from there.
It'll be a surprise.
Surprise to me, too. But anyways, folks, again, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been an absolute blast. Kayla, thank you for tuning in and joining us here, too. I hope to see you on a future podcast, obviously, when you can explain a little bit more, kind of in detail, some of the maybe mental health issues that you deal with. We talked a little bit about it.
That one's a big one.
That's a pretty deep conversation. I mean,
body pain is a lot easier to handle in a short amount of time, but when it comes to mental health and things like that,
well, that goes into our history too.
Yeah,
I gotta fly on the actual camera. That goes into our history too, and you'll learn our story and kind of how the mental health issues that we were both facing at the time basically ended up putting us together. And, why our bond is so strong, to be honest, in my opinion. It all comes down to that. So stay tuned for next week when we talk a little bit more about whatever this topic I decide. But other than that, I love you all for hanging out. Love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time...
Stay lifted!